Comparing apples to slightly bigger apples. Hey guys, and welcome back to another random distractions video. In my previous video, I did a quick unboxing and overview of the Arendal 1723 S THX tower speakers. And in that one, I mentioned that I wanted to compare them against some different towers. And for this video, I want to compare them against my towers, which are the Arendal 1961s. These were the baby brothers of the lineup, and ever since I've gotten them, I've really enjoyed how they sound. I listen to them pretty much every day, but I kind of always wondered how the next step up would compare. In that video, I also mentioned that I wanted to take them over to other places to try to compare them with other speakers. But in order to do that, I wanted to keep some of the parameters at least the same. So I decided to use the purchase of the Peachtree Carina that I got previously to use that to power the speakers. I would also have a playlist that I was going to be listening to get a feel for the other speakers. But then when it came time to recording, I wanted to record the same song at each different place. And instead of trying to match the levels as far as the speakers go, I decided to leave the volume knob at -20 on the Peachtree Carina. And this way it would at least compare the sensitivity and how that plays in regards to the volume. Okay, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the comparison for this video, which is going to be the Arendal 1961s. I'll go through the audio recordings that I got for the song and also the measurements that I got. And after that, I'll provide some thoughts at the end. For the first recordings, I wanted to do the towers in sealed mode. First up the 1961 and then the 1723S. For the next recordings, the towers are going to be in ported mode. First up again, the 1961 and then the 1723S. All right, so now let's take a look at the REW measurements. So here are my towers in sealed mode. When you compare them against the 1723S, you can tell that the 1723S is a little louder in a lot of different places, but there is a big difference after 4 kilohertz. And here are my 1961 towers in ported mode. And before I go to the 1723S, I wanted to show what it looks like in sealed mode. And as you can see, they're pretty much the same over here, maybe just a little bit there in the, what is that, around 385 to 456. But then the biggest difference really is just under the 60 hertz. And even then, it's not that big of a difference. However, when you compare the ported 1961 to the 1723S in ported mode, there is a big bump up here in the lower end. Starting from, let's see, 60 to about 30. There is definitely a lot more volume there. And just as before, there's a little bit more volume in some other places. And after 4 kilohertz, there's also a big bump. The one interesting thing though is when you compare the 1723S from ported and sealed, there is actually also a big difference between what that sounds like. So unlike my 1961 where there wasn't too much of a difference, here you can definitely tell and feel that difference. Those are the measurements, but what did I think? Well, the difference in the highs is noticeable right away. It actually provided a brightness that made it feel like they were a little bit clearer than what my 1961s were. And because of the higher sensitivity, they do get louder, which make them feel livelier as well. As I mentioned in the unboxing video, these were provided by Arendal, and I do have to send them back. Actually, as I record this video, they're supposed to be coming at some point today to get those. However, I'm only a little bit sad about that. Would I love to have these in place of the 1961s? Of course. But after switching back to my 1961s, I've gotten accustomed again to how they sound and do still really enjoy them. And while I do appreciate how much lower they go when they're ported, right now I have dual SB3000s in my system, so I don't feel like I'm missing out. I have also mentioned, and if you've seen some of my theater tours in my space, I don't really have a lot of room, so having these towers that were a little bit bigger than my 1961s just felt a little bit off. And unfortunately, they didn't pass the wife acceptance factor. My wife actually could not wait to get these out of the house. In that unboxing video, I also mentioned that Arendal was going to have a price increase, and that did come through. And it looks like for this series, it's going to be $100 more. So instead of $29.99 for the pair, it's going to be $3,099 for the pair. The one thing to remember is that price is whether it's the satin finish or the gloss finish, and you can get them either in black or white for either finish. Unfortunately, the 1961 series is no longer going to be made, but on the plus side, I do now own a Legacy. However, I would definitely recommend the Arendal 1723S THX tower speakers if you have the space or don't mind the size, because for the price that you're paying, the look and the sound of them is hard to beat. This is of course comparing the smaller Arendal speakers to their next step up, but how do they compare against other speakers? As I mentioned, I'm part of a group on the AVS forum, and if you live in the DFW area, I'll leave a link in the description to check them out. And they did take me up on the offer of bringing these speakers to their homes. And like I said, I'll be doing different videos for each of those homes. So the next video will be actually going up against some focals. Well, that's all that I have for this video. I would definitely appreciate a like, of course, on this one, and make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when the next video drops and see how the 1723S compares. Until then, I hope you have a good one.